Okay, here we starting. Good afternoon, Max. Good afternoon, Pablo. Here we are to make our critical commentary about the essays that we did about the books we read. I read about the Judith Butler book that it's named Giving an Account to Oneself, and I'm going to read you a little resume that I did about what I say in my essay. So now that I have the opportunity to talk about the content of my essay, that is centered, as I already mentioned, in Judith Butler's seminal work that is Giving an Account of Myself. This intellectual journey spans the intricate interplay of violence and the personal identity in the contemporary society, and is a matter of a profound import that warrants our careful consideration. First, a little bit of the context of the author, that Judith Butler is a luminary and realms of philosophy and gender studies that was born in 1956. Her expansive body of work has significantly influenced all these disciplines, and with Giving an Account of Myself that is published in 2005, it is standing a particularly noteworthy contribution to all these aspects. The crux of Butler's analysis resides in the conceptualization of violence, because in contradiction to the prevailing or the popular definitions, Butler posits that violence extends beyond overt physical or verbal acts, permitting the substrata of social institutes, cultural norms, and discursive practices, such as the manifestations of violence inherently exclusionary, targets individuals, and that are based on unmutable characteristics such as gender, sexual orientation, race, and all the others that we already know. Within the contemporary lexicon, violence is commonly construed as actions involving physical and verbal force resulting in harm, but this is not for Judith Butler. However, Butler challenges the circumscribed definition, the previous definition, contending that violence is not confined to overt acts, but encompasses several systemic forms perpetuated by cultural norms and society structures. In this essay, I underscore the symbiotic relationship between violence and personal identity. That were like my main ideas, violence and personal identity. A paradigm that is expounded by Butler, the relationship between them. The symbiosis is particular, pertinent in a global landscape where individuals belonging to marginalized groups grapple with systemic discrimination, engendering a profound impact on their self-perception perception is personal identity. So moreover, the Butler's work necessitates a reconsideration of the prevailing static conception of identity, because for her, identity is a dynamic concept. So by recognizing the influence of violence, whether explicit or structural, on individual self-perception, Butler becomes us to reassess and challenge all the social norms, to perpetuate violence through tacit acceptance of established norms, ones that often exhibit inertia, constitutes an imperative subject for a philosophical scrutiny. So a salient aspect of Butler's discourse lies in her emphasis on individual agency in deconstructing all the social norms that are inherited by society to us. Unlike prescriptive ideologies, Butler's approach is liberating its injunction to individuals to critically engage with a reconstruction of the social paradigm of a way that is individual. Furthermore, Butler's intellectual receptivity facilitates the exploration of interconnected philosophical concepts through engagement with external perspective. This inclusive approaches enriches the discourse and engenders a comprehensive understanding of the intricate dynamics between violence and identity. So this even facilitates to me to relate this book to your books or every other book and philosophy that I read, because it's really open-minded to every aspect of very, very diverse authors. So in conclusion, giving an account of myself is not a philosophical treatise. It is a call to conscious action, and Butler implores us to question and dismantle stretching norms that perpetuate violence and exclusion, and thereby contributing to the construction of a more equitable society. This endeavor is not an imposition of a singular worldwide, but is an invitation for collective introspection and ethical action. So thank you. I appreciate your attention to this discourse, and I open to any queries, questions, or reflections that you may wish to share. Thank you.
Um, it's a very good summary of your essay. I feel that Butler is a great philosopher thanks to the preparation he has had in his life. His book sounds very interesting. If you let me, I will tell my point of view about my book.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Violence, in its various forms, has cast a long and dark shadow over human history. From physical aggression to emotional abuse, violence has left an indelible mark on the lives of countless individuals and societies. While we often focus on the overt manifestations of violence, it is crucial to recognize that violence is deeply embedded within the structures and institutions that shape your lives. This recognition forms the cornerstone of Slavoj Žižek's profound analysis of violence in his book on violence. Zizek distinguishes between subjective violence, the intentional infliction of harm, and objective violence, the violence inherent in social systems. He argues that objective violence, often subtle and insidious, is the true root of the problem. Capitalism, with its exploitation of labor, the state, with its coercive apparatus, and even the family, with its potential for abuse, all perpetuate objective violence. Zizek challenges the notion that violence is merely an aberration, a deviation from the norm. He asserts that violence is an inherent condition of human existence, a consequence of the struggle for power and domination. This inherent violence, however, needs to lead to despair. Instead, instead, Zizek suggests that violence can be a catalyst for social change, a force to challenge and dismantle unjust systems. The path of liberation, according to Zizek, lies not in simply changing our minds, but in radically transforming our social and political order. This transformation requires dismantling the structures of oppression and inequality, creating a new order based on true freedom and equality. Zizek works is a powerful reminder that violence is not an isolated phenomenon, but a deeply woven thread in the fabric of human society. It is a call to action, urging us to confront the reality of violence and strive for a world where violence is not the norm, but the exception. Thank you.